Kia ora team, welcome back. So now we're going to talk briefly about two conditions related to the cardiovascular system. So the first one in this video is going to be rheumatic fever. So I'm just going to overview what it is first. Essentially it starts with a group A streptococcal laryngeal infection or a sore throat. So for anyone that's had strep throat before, it's how it starts. More common in children. Looking at this, it's a multi-system disease affecting the heart, joints, brain, cutaneous and subcutaneous tissues. Probably the most common things you'll see around it in terms of implications long-term for somebody's health are around the heart, dysfunctions, and based on what we know of the cardiovascular system, this is a pretty important part of who we are and what we are. So anything that isn't going right with the heart and the tissues is going to cause us problems in terms of our health. So you'll see there the representation is of enlarged heart, weakened valves that can cause some real problems or real issues. Prevalence, it's serious but preventable. So mainly affects Māori and Pacific children and young people, most commonly between the age of 4 and 19 years, and especially if they've got other family members who have had it. Okay, so much more common. You can see by the graph there, the incidence for those Māori and Pacific populations is much more common. So in the 12 months ending 1st of December 2020, there were 151 people diagnosed for the first time with rheumatic fever in New Zealand. Oftentimes it will be a recurring or ongoing issue that will be treated, and most commonly with courses of antibiotics. Symptoms, usually a fever, starts 1 to 5 weeks after your child has had the strep throat. So they may develop, so these are symptoms that they may see. Not everybody will have the same symptoms, but sore and swollen joints, particularly knees, elbows, ankles and wrists, and rash. So over those same areas, elbows, wrists, knees and ankles, and particularly the spine as well. So really important to watch out for if your children have had strep throat. Okay, so these are the symptoms if it continues and progresses for your child that you're likely to see. So other things, small lumps under the skin, usually jerky movements of the hand, feet, tongue and face. Fever is the biggest one, so that's obviously the first clue probably that you're going to get. Fever over 38 degrees, which obviously is a significant fever. Other potential things that you can have happen, stomach pain, weight loss, and being extremely tired. So with the younger children, obviously that kind of lethargy and having a struggle to wake them. And this is so the picture there kind of depicts some of those more kind of common places to look for the rash, to look for in terms of the joints, so lots to look out for there. After the person or the child in particular has had issue with strep throat. Ongoing problems with these, with rheumatic fever, if it's something that is kind of ongoing for somebody and is not treated effectively with antibiotics, then it can cause some pretty serious issues related to the heart especially. But obviously none of these things probably sound like very much fun, either if they're ongoing and haven't been treated effectively. Okay, you may have seen some of these, some of the kind of health promotion around rheumatic fever and building the awareness, especially looking at the stats. So probably focus more at the Māori and Pacific communities. Here, so in May 2019, the government allocated $12 million over 4 years to improve the prevention and management of rheumatic fever, primarily in Auckland region where most of our cases occur. So you would have seen some of these things, take a closer look. Sore throats matter, all of those things about those communities that are at risk, getting their children to health professionals early on when they've got that initial infection. The earlier the treatment begins there, the less likely it is to progress. So, communities that are less likely to engage with their health professionals, are obviously at much higher risk. So that's where these campaigns and the money's been put into, building that awareness and just making sure that as many people as they can possibly get the message out to understand that it's really important when kids get those, when kids get strep throat, when kids have got sore throats, that it does need to be followed up, it does need to be checked out, not just throw some Pamol at them and they'll be okay. So that kind of wraps up rheumatic fever. So there'll be a few questions in the quiz at the end of this section that relate to this. And again, feel free to go back over the video, engage in some other resources, and some of you will probably have had personal experience, either yourselves or family members or friends, people that you know, that can put a little bit of or understand a little bit more about what it might look at, what it might feel like. Okay, so we're going to catch you back really soon with condition number 2.